Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here. This is the Astrological Winds channel. I'm going to take a look at the astrological weather report for the week of March 28th through April 3rd. And we have a new moon this week at 12 degrees of Aries. And we are going into the new month in April. And I will get to the April monthly next week, since we have the new moon to focus on this week. And just real quick, I'm doing this in the beginning, anybody who needs to contact me, it's the best way to get me is through my email, matthuE823@gmail.com. If you need to contact me about getting some kind of reading or something like that, it's the best way to do it. And also remember, this is on YouTube, free service every Monday. If you have a YouTube account, look up the Astrological Winds channel, make it a favorite, and turn on your notifications, and you'll know when it's posted every week. And by the way, I did post an extra blog on the YouTube this weekend looking at the equinox charts set for Washington, D.C. and a little bit for Kiev too. So people who are interested in seeing a little bit of what the next quarter or year is going to look like socially, politically, culturally for the U.S., you might want to check that out on the YouTube. And it's also available on all kinds of podcasts through Buzzsprout. So just look it up, and it's on Spotify, it's on Reveal, it's on Apple iCloud, it's on about 20 different ones. And also on Instagram, look up the Astrological Winds channel, become a follower, or you can personally get me at Facebook, Matthew Lawton, L-A-U-T-E-N, and you have to request a friend to be on that, and I do post the link on that every week too. So just getting that business out of the way right at the beginning here, because a lot of people are like, how do I get in touch with you? And apparently don't get to the end of the thing. And remember, it's a free service, so please pass it on to somebody else as your repayment to me. That would really be great. And if you'd like to give a donation, you're welcome to do that too. I'm on PayPal, I'm on Zelle, I'm on Venmo under Matthew Lawton, L-A-U-T-E-N. All right, a couple things I want to talk about this week. The first is going to be this Monday, today, when Venus conjuncts Saturn and Juno, who are already conjunct, and will also be squaring the nodal axis and sextiling Aries. And at the same time, we have Chiron sextiling Ceres. So this actually is spread out over Monday through Wednesday. Now, if you'll remember, Mars and Venus going together through Aquarius have been conjunct since January 29th and will be until April 6th, going through Aquarius together. So whenever Venus is a little ahead of Mars at this point, since it moves faster than Mars does, it has their exact conjunction was on the 6th, so it's kind of moved ahead a little bit at this point, a few degrees ahead of Mars. So it's, if you remember, 2 weeks ago, Venus squared Uranus, and then last week we had Mars square Uranus. And of course, we all may be aware at this point the Saturn-Uranus square has been in effect since last year. And so both these planets, Mars and Venus, are now triggering that Uranus-Saturn square and making it very acute again. So we had the Venus-Uranus square a week or so ago, and then the Mars-Uranus square last week. And probably, good chance it shook up maybe some relationships in your life, some surprises, some upsets, maybe with some money too, or actions, kind of just getting a little chaotic and things. And now, today, Juno and Saturn. So Juno is the asteroid of partnership and represents the female archetype of the wife, basically. So it really represents partnerships. So Saturn's right on that right now, and therefore making partnerships go into this really responsible mode, or either that is like either become more responsible or there's going to be a separation or a loss. It's not going to work out. So now Venus catches up to these two on Monday, like I said, at the same time, squaring the nodes and sextiling Aries this week, while Chiron sextile Ceres. And I think they're going to all work together. When Venus conjuncts Saturn, we really do a sober reassessment of our relationships. And what we're doing in most cases, especially with the closer ones, with the partnerships, and especially with Juno involved, it's definitely going to be about the partnerships. And basically at this point, we're looking for stability. We're looking to stabilize whatever those upsets in relationships have been the last couple weeks, and looking to like bring it into a stable space, build some foundation or long-term. Or the other thing is this relationship is not serious or practical or grounded in real world reality enough for some of us, and we may decide to separate or move on. Really, it's a time when we're going to get a lot of opportunities to grow, to change, to make adjustments in the way that we do our relationships, and even our creativity and the way we handle our money even. So it's going to require a lot of adapting. And the square to the nodes really shows that too, that there's certain people or groups you may have to leave behind in order to, fit in more, and that you're going to have to go out and maybe find other groups or people to connect with, to replace those ones that are not being as agreeable or as adaptable or as flexible as you need to bring in the changes. So there's, also with Venus Saturn, it really favors like more grounded type relationships over romantic ones. Like romantic ones can get really stabilized and committed for sure. Or like I said, they can be separated, but this really favors more like business type relationships, building a solid foundation under things. And so there may be issues too with like currency and money and finances being squeezed right now with people. And, especially we're seeing a lot of inflation in the economy, a lot of issues with supply chain things due to the, war over in Russia and Ukraine, and also, a lot of the COVID issues and a lot of the trade issues that have not been able to be worked out. So, we'll find out, there may be continuing issues with money and finances and things like that this week too, that, will put a little bit of a restriction on those things. So, and going back to that Venus Saturn as far as relationships too, like a lot of times with the Venus Saturn, like what we're looking for is stability in relationships that are the ones that are more close to us, and that can also be the ones that we feel most upset about too, the ones that we're feeling like maybe like not practical enough or maybe restricting us too much, and really needing that, an opportunity to maybe change the parameters of that and ground those things in. So the sextile to Aries is going to allow us to do that. It's going to give us opportunities to change. It's going to give partners an opportunity to sit down and really hammer out agreements. Ditto with Chiron sextile Ceres. It's showing that there's opportunities out there to get some of the things we need, the nurturing, the resources and stuff, if we can create a good bridge with other people and be able to help one another out. But like I said, you got that square to the node, so there's a lot of adjusting that needs to be done. There's a lot of maybe things that, people in groups that you're in disagreement with. So you got to kind of try to fit in, filter out the things that aren't working for you and try to bring in stability to the ones that you really want to have work. And like I said, this is really going to be strong Monday through Wednesday. Mars will be hitting Saturn next week. So, it's gonna slow things down now, and really, after a lot of maybe surprises and things the last couple of weeks, it's gonna really make us look at things, slow things down, and really evaluate what we want out of the relationships and see if we can reach some kind of agreement. Now, also this week, there's an interesting long-term transit that I want to mention too, because it just seems so fitting into what is going on. And that is exact this week is Pluto, and this is on Friday. It's exact, but it's all week really. I mean, and it's really just one of these long-term transits that lasts basically over a year. And what's going on is Pluto is sesquiquadrate Ceres. So once again, we're talking about things that have to do with resources, things that have to do with nurturing, things that have to do with getting our needs met. And right now with Pluto hitting that, very interesting. The sesquiquadrate is saying there's a lot of things stuck in those areas that we're in situations that are hard to break open in those areas. And that right now we may just have to deal with situations that, because of a war, Pluto, because of illness, COVID, because of a lot of the situations in the world changing rapidly and a lot of transformation going on, that the normal supply chain of things, the normal way of getting what we want for our nurturing or needs may be stressed. And you can look at this, even the gas prices are a great example of that. There's, we all use vehicles to get around, and there's nothing we can do to make those prices go down right now. So that's that sesquiquadrate. And even Pluto is, the people who are in power really dictating what's going on with a lot of these things, authorities, people in power, corporations, things like that. So very interesting that I think that really fits a lot of the energy that's going around in the economy and with resources these days. And, and people can feel that also really on their own personal level as a lot of loss and grief. There may be even feelings of what maybe death of parts of their life, or there may even literally be those kind of things in our life. So there's, really power struggles over resources and really having a hard time being able to do anything about it. Now, the big event of the week is the new moon, and it's and it's in Aries at 12 degrees, and it's exactly conjunct Chiron, really close to Mercury too. So we basically have the moon, the sun, Mercury, and Chiron all conjunct during this new moon. And I really think this is going to be a major turning point for many individuals. I've talked a few times about how Chiron and Aries over these next few years is really about taking responsibility for our own healing journey, that we can't have healthy relationships or even a relationship to life itself without being, using the wisdom and knowledge we have to make our lives better somehow, which you can call healing in a very general sense. And I think it's a time where this new moon is really asking us to take power over our own lives, to really, grow and heal and learn from what we have been going through, and that we have to realize that we are the only ones that can go through certain passages in our life, that, we can get support from other people, and it's available too. You got Chiron is sextiling Ceres, Venus wants to help out, there is ability to get help. But at the same time, I think it's a time when we realize we actually have to take the steps. People can push us, they can try to get us to a certain point, but we are the ones who have to engage our brain to actually move our feet forward, so to speak. We can't, have someone drag us through this process that we're all realizing we have to do it. So this new moon is really a powerful time where I think like we can really get rid of a lot of the things that have been dragging us down in the past, things that, you may be ready to give up on and move forward from, and realize that they're the things that are holding you back, and that, finding the source of that within ourselves rather than going out and thinking, oh, this is where it's coming from, but there is like a grieving process to go through with this, that, we want to adapt and we want to change, and in order to do that we need to let go of a lot of things. So there may be this grieving that we go through, but when we go through the grieving and let it go, we can draw strength from there to get our own self-confidence up in the ability to walk our path and to take our journey forward. So I think, yes, it can be a lonely journey, for sure, but Aries is used to that energy. Aries is like, listen, if I need to, I will do this alone. It's a very active energy, and it wants to go forward, and it's going to do it alone if it can't get help from other people. So, when we talk about the new moon in Aries alone, it's like it's seeking something new. It's seeking some kind of adventure in life, and it will shake things up in order to get that. And especially in its normal world, if it feels like it's stuck in a rut, it will act quickly and impulsively to shake things up and find some new adventure that you are personally very interested in to go off to. So it's interesting too with that Mercury in Aries too. It shows even double much that the mind is going to impulsively jump to decision making and conclusions and move forward. It's not going to want to wait around, and so it's very interesting, the Aries energy, because there's a lot to be admired about this strength of like, okay, I'm going to go out and do this no matter what. And that's very admirable. But at the same time, the individual streak can be really intense for people to put up with, and they may not be able to keep up with you, and you may be like, okay, this is something I really need to go and do for myself. You think, but Aries gives us that courage though. It gives us the confidence, even if we're not sure we're completely right. We gotta move forward. And the thing is, what you need to do too in your chart is look at where 12 degrees Aries is in your chart and what house that is in. And that's going to show you the area of your life that is ready for taking on some new adventure, some new thing. And this is, where we're seeking something to really satisfy our emotions and will for something new in our lives, and something that's going to bring in healing, learning, teaching, and once again, I think a lot of times what we do in these situations is we really revolt against our past first more than anything else. And so like, Aries is really in the present and wants to just push forward. And, so interesting enough, the ruler of the new moon is Mars, which, is also involved in that whole configuration, conjunct Venus, conjunct Saturn, conjunct Juno, square Neptune. So it's showing, that right now we may find that a lot of our actions are getting blocked, or having to be stabilized somehow to move forward, and that we need to be serious about what we're doing. We have to be well thought out. We have to be thinking about a future that's built on a solid foundation step by step, and may not have a lot of immediate payoff or rewards coming in. But we may find that a lot of circumstances, situations, people, those kind of things are once again what are slowing us down, what are blocking us from being able to move forward in what we want to do. So, the first steps we take in this journey may feel like walking in mud or wet cement or something. Like I said, we have to be the motivator with Aries, only ourselves. No one can push us into it. We can maybe get some help along the way, but we really are the ones who have to take the steps. So it can feel like in the beginning of this, like really being stuck in the mud, and just like the progress we're making is not very much in the beginning. But slowly but surely we can, allow that to solidify and get a lot of solid steps in that slowly are building something very strong for us in the long run. I also think, the thing to be careful about with the moon in Aries is when it's not getting that satisfaction of some kind of adventure or something, it can turn into a very negative, angry, resentful energy, and it will, really can upset the people around it by, very impulsive, rash acts that are being driven by anger and resentment of not being able to do something that we want to do, or not finding the fulfillment of some kind of excitement or adventure that we need in our life, But it's very interesting because the Mars-Saturn shows that, if we can get really diligent with that Aries energy, if we can really focus it and into our actions, that we can really start to build something strong. So, we can possibly get a little help because of that Venus conjunction and the Ceres Chiron sextile, but I really think this is one of those times that's just a turning point where a lot of us are going to realize we are the only ones who can be responsible for the life we're living and what we're doing. And if we want something greater, if we want a better adventure, if we want more excitement in our lives, it's up to us, each one of us, as an individual, to take those steps necessary to get us there. Now, the last thing I want to mention this week is on Saturday, the very next day, the Mercury does catch up to the Sun and does a superior conjunction, which means we're getting close to the next Mercury retrograde is going to be coming up when Mercury goes into Taurus in a few more weeks. So, it's here once again, we're looking at a situation where Mercury and the Sun together are very subjective, but we really live our experiences with like a conviction, and are really into taking in new stuff. And it's a great time, just like the new moon. It's a great time to start new things, new business ventures, new plans, planning the future, taking the step-by-step things that we need to do to make those things work. Now, we are very subjective with our opinions and thoughts and ideas when Mercury is conjunct the Sun. And we can have a hard time getting out of our own thinking process to allow other information, other communications to come in from other people and other sources. So that's one of the biggest dangers of Mercury, or the biggest danger of Mercury Sun, is shutting down and not hearing what other people have to say. And especially because we really want to announce what we have to say. We really feel like we have some important information that we need to share. We really want to get it out there. And so we have a tendency to shut down other forms of information and communication coming in, especially if they don't agree with where we're coming from. So really a good week for starting some new stuff to get, build new foundations in relationships, find some new adventure or energy or project to put energy into, new business ventures. A lot of it having to do with partners, like really figuring out who the right people are to be working with, who are not the right people to be working with. And ditto with any kind of partnership. It can be romantic, business, some kind of counseling or consulting, all those kind of things, are gonna be like, okay, it's time to really either A, get serious and stabilize this stuff for the long term, or B, move on because you're being too restricted by what's going on. So that's really a lot about what this week is about. When you think about Venus, Saturn, you think about a new moon, conjunct Chiron, and you think about the Mercury being there too. It's all about like a lot of new things, but for ourselves in Aries, and having to be the ones to take that step. All right, well, that's this week's astrological weather forecast. This is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. I'm available for all kinds of readings. I've been a professional astrologer since 2002. Just email me, mattthue823@gmail.com. That's mattthue823@gmail.com. Do natal chart readings. That's your birth chart. Recommend doing that first. Predictive reading every year to know what your astrological weather forecast is for your chart each year, just like this blog. You also do elections for knowing the timing, best timing for starting an event or having an event. Horary questions, if you're looking for an answer to something you can't quite get the answer to. Relationship charts, fixed star readings for deeper soul purpose, kids readings, if you want to look at your child's first 20 years and important things like that. So all kinds of readings available. Also classes available for beginners. I've got 5 classes available. They're $25 or $20 if you're a student. They're on Dropbox. Just get in touch with me once again. I can hook you up with that. And if you have some kind of event that needs a speaker, lecturer, question and answer about astrology, or or even some kind of entertainment, don't hesitate to contact me. And once again, it's mattthue823@gmail.com. You can also contact me through the comments section on any of the things that carry the blog. And like I said, YouTube, it's on all kinds of podcasts. Instagram, you just got to look up Astrological Winds channel and you will find it there. And anyone, some people like to make a donation. You can get me through PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, Matthew Lawton, Lauten. And so that'll do it for this week. Now, next week, I will do the April weather report for the month and with the weekly. And remember, one more time, there is a blog on YouTube on the equinox chart last week set for Washington, D.C. If anyone is interested in checking out what the political forecast is for the next few months. All right, until next week, this is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. You have a good week. Get some new things going for yourself. Take those steps forward and, take on that journey with courage that the Aries can give you and move forward in life.